Chapter 20, Tissues. In Chapter 20, three main area topics of interest. Number 1, structure and function in animal tissues. Number 2, tissues combine to form organs, which in turn combine to form organ systems. And last but not least, how the body regulates its internal environment through external mechanisms and internal mechanisms. Tissues comes first. Some basic terminology. Anatomy is the study of structure, the structure of the body. Physiology is simply how all those structures function. Function and structure sort of goes together in biology. Now, when we talk about levels of organization, like the biosphere is to the community, animals are studied at several different levels. Well, we've talked about the cell already, cellular level, but now we're going to go the next level up, which is called tissues. Tissues are an integrated group of cells that work together to form for a common function. Your body is made up of 4 basic tissue types, which we're going to talk about. 2 or more tissues together form a structure called an organ. Organs perform specific tasks. The heart is an example of an organ. The stomach is an example. Intestines, both small and large, are organs. And the stomach, the intestines, and the esophagus and other structures make up an organ system. An organ system is multiple organs that provide a function. The digestive system, which I just gave an example of, its purpose is to extract energy and nutrients from the food you eat and then get rid of what is not digested, the waste products. All right. Okay, so the cellular level, that's where it all begins, at the cellular level. But cells are grouped into tissues. Tissues make up an organ. And in this example here, we're talking about the circulatory or cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular or circulatory system consists of the heart and all the blood vessels that are connected, pumping the blood throughout the body, distributing oxygen and nutrients, and taking away waste products from the cells. And then several different organ systems make up the organism. We have all the organ systems functioning together as a whole. That's your organism. So there you have it, your structural hierarchy of an animal. All right, so tissues are a group of similar cells that perform functions and combine to form organs. 4 main categories of tissues. Number 1 is epithelial tissue. Number 2, connective. Number 3, muscle. And last but not least, nervous. Brain, spinal cord, peripheral nerves. Okay, let's look at epithelial a little bit more closely. Epithelial tissues, or just refer to it as epithelia, are sheets. They form sheets of tightly connected cells. And epithelial tissue covers all body surfaces, be it internal and external. Your skin is composed of epithelial tissue. Epithelial cells come in 3 shapes: squamous, egg-shaped, flat like an egg; cuboidal, cube-shaped; and columnar, shaped like little rectangles in the microscope. They're taller than they're wide. Cuboidal is tall as wide. Squamous is flat like an egg. Fried egg, I mean. All right. Epithelial tissues are named, well, according to the number of cell layers they have. Simple, 1 cell layer. Stratified means multiple cell layers. And the shape of the cells on their upper surface. The surface that is not connected to anything. It's exposed to a space, whether internally or externally. Okay, simple squamous is single layer, and it's a flat layer of cells. For example, simple squamous epithelium lines your blood vessels, veins and arteries and capillaries. All right, simple cuboidal is a single layer of cube-shaped cells that are found in your kidneys. They have ducts that are responsible for processing nitrogenous waste, returning essential nutrients to the body, and getting rid of waste products for excretion. Stratified squamous epithelium lines your esophagus. And the epidermis of your skin is stratified squamous epithelium. Simple columnar epithelium lines your intestines. Its job is to absorb nutrients. Connective tissue is the next type. There are 6 groups of connective tissue. Number 1 is loose connective tissue. It consists of tissue cells embedded in an extracellular matrix of collagen, elastic fibers, polysaccharide, and helps to connect your skin to the underlying tissue. So fibrous connective tissue is more organized, and it's dense, packed collagen and fibers. And fibrous connective tissue forms tendons that connect muscle to bone, and ligaments which connect bone to bone. Next, we have adipose tissue. Adipose tissue stores fat droplets. Covers all your organs underneath your skin. Cartilage is a flexible tissue. It's a type of connective tissue. It's flexible. It's found where bone meets bone, prevents bones rubbing on bone. Bone is a special connective tissue. It has a collagen matrix and calcium embedded in calcium phosphate with living cells. Blood is a liquid or fluid connective tissue. Loose connective tissues underneath your skin. You can see the cells. The cells are embedded in an extracellular matrix of polysaccharide and also with collagen and elastic fibers. The collagen and elastin are protein fibers. Fibrous connective tissue is more fibers. You can see the nuclei of the cells, but it's mostly just fibers, very little ground stuff packed close together. This type of tissue will form tendons and ligaments. Adipose tissue store fat. What you're seeing in this view is just fat droplets. The nuclei are pushed over to one side. And cartilage is embedded in a rubbery matrix, which is reinforced with collagen and elastin. Collagen is found at the ends of long bones. Bone is a dense connective tissue. It has a matrix of calcium phosphate and collagen and living cells called osteocytes. Blood is a fluid tissue. Its matrix is the plasma. The cells are the red cells, the white cells, and the platelets, which are simply cellular fragments. The next type of tissue is muscle tissue. There are 3 types of vertebrate muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle, which is under control of your somatic or voluntary nervous system. Cardiac muscle is under control of your autonomic nervous system. Cardiac muscle is only found in the heart, and it pushes blood through your blood vessels. Smooth muscle makes up the walls of internal organs, such as the organs of your digestive tract, for example. But it's found in other places besides that. There's smooth muscle in your eyes that make the iris increase the diameter or reduce the diameter of the pupil in the iris. So smooth muscle is all over. And here's a picture here of a student right here, and give you an idea where the three types of muscles found. The muscle attached to your skeleton, the skeletal muscle, cardiac, makes up the heart, and smooth is typically found in the digestive tract, the walls of the digestive organs. Skeletal muscle is multinucleated, and it has these striations. This is what you see if you look at it in the microscope. Multinucleated means more than one nucleus per muscle cell. And you can see the obvious lines of striation. The space between two of these little lines is a sarcomere. That's a unit of muscle contraction. That's where contraction takes place, in the sarcomeres. Oops. Smooth muscle, which is cardiac, my bad. Cardiac muscle does have, the striation is not as obvious, but it's there compared to skeletal. This is uninucleated, which means only one nucleus per cardiac muscle cell. Cardiocytes is the technical term for cardiac muscle cells. And also there are junctions between adjacent cells, and you can see these little lines. These are intercalated discs which connect to muscle cells. Smooth muscle is tapered. The muscle cells are tapered at both ends like a needle, pointed at both ends. They have one nucleus per cell. Nervous tissue senses stimuli and transmits the information rapidly. It's like little, and then actually through electric impulses. Neurons are the functional units of the nervous system. These are the conducting cells that conduct the electrical impulses. There's other cells in addition to neurons which support and nourish the neurons. We call those glial cells. This is a picture of a typical neuron. They have numerous dendrites. Dendrites receive stimuli and transmit it to the cell body. Or then if there's going to be an electrical impulse, it'll be generated, then it'll flow along this axon. And the terminus, or the endpoints of the axon, will connect to either to another neuron or to a muscle cell or to a gland cell. Call that an effector. Causes an effect. All right, organs and organ systems. Every tissue has its job. The heart, for example, is made up of cardiac muscle, which contracts. Each muscle cell, because they're connected together by those intercalated discs, contract as a unit. So all the cells contract at the same time. Epithelial tissue is also part of the heart. It lines the internal chambers and covers the external surface. One characteristic of epithelial tissue prevents leaks, prevents materials from getting past it. It's like a gasket or a rubber seal, no leaks. Connective tissue connects everything together. And electrical impulses are transmitted to the heart by way of neurons. And there are special types of nervous tissue which regulate heartbeat. The cardiac pacemaker, for example. All right, the small intestine is lined by columnar epithelium, which again prevents stuff from leaking past into the underlying tissues. Connective tissues, including blood vessels, 2 layers of smooth muscle that propels materials through it. Now, the inner surface of the small intestine, on the tops of the epithelial cells, are little finger-like extensions called villi. And what they do is increase absorption area, surface area for absorption, and on each villi are numerous microvilli. Do the same thing. All right. So the epithelial tissue covers the inside surface, connective tissue. Each one of these little structures is a villus, plural, villi. 2 layers, and the outside of this is the inside surface. The outside surface of the intestine also is covered by epithelial tissue. Now, an organ system consists of more than one organ and can have more than one function. And the interaction, there's a great deal of interaction between organ systems to bring about the function of the complete organism. All right. Examples. Here are when you're jogging, the circulatory system and the respiratory system are working overtime to get oxygen throughout the body. The skeletal system and the muscular system work together to make movement possible. Your skin is its own body system called the integumentary system. Digestive system and urinary system. After you eat and after what's been processed, whatever cannot be used or is toxic will be gotten rid of by the digestive and the urinary system. Endocrine system. Different endocrine structures produce hormones which have effect on other parts of the body. The endocrine system is a regulatory system. Together with the nervous system. The nervous system has a faster response, and its actions are typically fast acting and over with. But the endocrine system works slower. And yes, the nervous system does, to some degree, regulate the endocrine system. So the endocrine system by itself is slower to act, but its effects are longer lasting. Lymphatic and immune system. The lymphatic and immune systems are all in one. Lymphatic collects excess fluid that leaks out of your circulatory system and returns it back to the circulatory system. And also the lymphatic has an immune component which protects you against disease-causing pathogens. Reproductive system, responsible for production of gametes and the bearing of young. Little humans. Alright, circulatory system, main responsibility, deliver oxygen and nutrients to cells, transport carbon dioxide to the lungs, and waste products to the kidneys. Simple as that. Respiratory system, exchange gases with the environment. It supplies oxygen to the blood and gets rid of the carbon dioxide the blood picks up. The integumentary system is its own, your skin is its own body system. It protects you, keeps you from dehydrating, and also has means to protect you against infection. Keeps you warm or cools you off. The skeletal system supports the body, and with the muscle system makes movement possible. Protection of organs, brain, heart, lungs, the vital organs. Okay, the muscular system, movement, keep you standing tall when you don't want to, and also generates body heat. Shivering. Urinary system removes waste, maintains proper acid-base balance, proper water balance of the blood, and gets rid of waste products. Digestive system, when you take in food, it processes it, extracts nutrients and energy from it, gets rid of the undigestible or not necessary, shall I say. Let's go on. Endocrine system produces hormones, chemical compounds that produce in one part of the body have an effect on other parts. So its role is to regulate body activities together with the nervous system. Alright, The hypothalamus, which is actually technically part of the nervous system, is also part of the endocrine system. Pituitary gland is part of the brain, but it's part of two systems: thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, thymus, adrenal glands, pancreas. The pancreas, by the way, is also a digestive organ as well as an endocrine organ. The testes, ovaries, are part of the endocrine system, but also part of the reproductive system. So you can see sometimes these organs or glands are part of more than one body system. Lymphatic system and immune systems protect you against pathogen and also from cancer getting a foothold in your body. Lymphatic system also, I mentioned, returns excess fluid to the blood. Lymphatic vessels are extended throughout the body, collect fluid, leaks out of the capillaries, and returns it back to the blood in the chest. Alright, the nervous system, detecting stimuli, processes it and directs a response. Alright, your nervous system consists of the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Reproductive system, gametes, sperm and egg, sex hormones, testosterone, the different estrogens, progesterone, things like that. The female system can carry out a pregnancy, and also produce milk. The integumentary system, that consists of the skin, the epidermis, the surface made of stratified squamous epithelium, and the dermis, which is beneath that, is made of dense connective tissue with elastin. It's very strong. Collagen, hair follicles, oil and sweat glands, muscle cells, different nerves, blood vessels, and sense receptors. Hot, cold, pain, pressure, touch. Alright, your skin, epidermis, the thin layer. The dermis is the thicker layer. Skin has many functions. The epidermis resists physical damage, and because the outer epidermal cells of the skin are dead, they're just bags of keratin. It's like it protects you against water loss and prevents microorganisms from penetrating. The dermis has the sense receptors. The dermis produces vitamin D, and the dermis contains the sweat glands. Now, what happens when your skin gets zapped by ultraviolet light? The skin cells called melanocytes release that pigment melanin. That's what gives you your tan. And also, ultraviolet light can damage your skin cells, the living cells. Yes, and it can lead to skin cancer. That's why you wear sunblock. Hair is an insulator. Keeps you warm. Oil glands, which lubricates your hair and the skin, and also contain chemical antibiotic compounds. External and internal regulation and exchange. Alright, organisms exchange matter and energy with their surroundings. Organisms are, shall we say, open systems. Alright. Alright. So, organisms besides small flat organisms like the planarian flatworm, as they get big like us, there's not enough surface area to keep up with the volume. And that poses some constraints on metabolism, but larger animals have adaptations to get around that. For example, lungs consists of folded branch surfaces inside, increases enough so you have enough surface area to get enough oxygen for your body, and enough surface area to get rid of the carbon dioxide that your blood picks up. So respiratory system is able to exchange gases. Digestive system works on food and eliminates waste. Urinary system eliminates metabolic waste. So these systems kick in, so size is no longer a limiting factor in terms of organism size. Circulatory system distributes gas, nutrients, and waste products and exchanges materials between body, blood, and body cells. Your cells, all the cells in the body are bathed by a fluid called interstitial fluid. Animals are able to regulate their internal environment. The process is called homeostasis. It's active maintenance of a steady state within the body. In other words, the body actively regulates its internal environment. This delicate internal balance I call homeostasis. Doesn't matter what happens outside the body. Environmental conditions can fluctuate, go up and down and all around. Your body will maintain a constant steady state, irregardless of what's going on outside of it. So here the external temperature is just up and down. Here, very tiny fluctuations. Homeostasis depends on negative feedback. Your thermostat in your house operates by a negative feedback mechanism. There is a control system, the thermostat, which detects change and it will either turn on the furnace to warm it up, or shut it off because it's already hot enough. Now, the purpose of negative feedback is to keep internal variables steady and permit only small fluctuations around a set point, in this case a temperature that is set.
This simple animation illustrates the principle of negative feedback, or feedback inhibition, in the regulation of a chemical reaction sequence in a cell. The sequence involves 4 molecules, A, B, C, and D. 3 different enzymes catalyze the conversion of one molecule to the next. The final product, D, inhibits the first enzyme in the sequence. When the concentration of D rises to a certain point, the reaction shuts itself down.
And also, in some cases, there's a positive feedback mechanism in place.
In positive feedback, a product of the reaction sequence enhances the action of one of the enzymes, increasing the rate of production of the product. Positive feedback is less common than negative feedback in living systems. In positive
Alright, this is an example of a negative feedback control of the human body. Alright, so body temperature is approximately 37 Celsius or 98.6 on the Fahrenheit scale. Alright, when your body temperature drops, there's a thermostat in your brain, the hypothalamus. And what that does is activate the warming mechanisms. 2 things happen. The blood vessels in the skin will constrict, reducing temperature loss at the skin. And also your muscles start to shiver. Shivering generates heat. That warms you up. And once temperature goes up to a certain level, hypothalamus shuts off the thermostat, shuts off the furnace. Or, it's a hot day out there. You're out there doing yard work. Your body temperature goes up. Well, this time it activates the cooler instead of the heater. You start sweating, blood vessels in the skin start dilating. This brings down your body temperature. Once your temperature decreases to that set point, these mechanisms shut off.